Today, our first guests are two of my very favorite people. From the organization NAVA, the National Association of Voice Actors, we have Tim Friedlander and Matthew Parham. Okay.
Party on, JP.
Party on, Matthew.
Party on. Party on.
Oh God! I'm having so many memories like Fox 8. Like there's just so many memories of Wayne's World that are like just flashing through my mind.
We are not going to sing Bohemian Rhapsody.
Guys, I will have you introduce yourselves. Tell our lovely audience who you are and what your role is with NAVA.
You first.
Hello, Tim Friedlander, co-founder and president of NAVA, the National Association of Voice Actors.
I am Matthew Parham, the director of operations for the National Association of Voice Actors.
Awesome. Before we get going into some of the wonderful work that your organization does and some of the work that you've been doing in Washington lately, I need to ask the most important question. Tell us about your band.
Yeah, we are also bandmates in the Urban Renewal Project, which is a 16-piece big band jazz, hip-hop, soul fusion ensemble.
Yeah. Sounds about right. And that's how we met.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Actually,
Yeah. I've heard them play. They're awesome. Check them out if they're in a town near you.
Yeah. New album dropping October 23rd.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, we got an album. We got the scoop.
Yeah.
An album drop.
Shameless plug.
We're all about the shameless plugs here. NerdsVote.com. So the National Association of Voice Actors. Tell us about when the organization started and what some of your initiatives have been since then.
Yeah. We officially announced formation in March of 2022. Opened up membership in November of 2022, and kind of just been rolling fast and furious ever since. We are currently up to 1,500 members, with surpassing our goal. My goal was 400 members in the first 4 years.
Woo!
And we hit 1,500 before our third year. And I think a lot of that has to do with, kind of our initiative was based on a few things. Primarily, healthcare was one of our very big concerns when we first launched. But 80% of this industry is non-union. Of the voiceover industry is non-union, and so while there is great simultaneous work happening from SAG-AFTRA that's going to get AI protections and fair race and things in for union actors, that still leaves 80% of this industry that's not going to have representation or somebody to help guide through that. So that was really kind of
And associated health companies.
and associated health coverage, exactly. And then we jumped right into the AI conversation immediately upon launching. A lot of our work has been in this kind of advocacy, education, cooperation, legislation sphere of trying to just navigate this new AI world.
Yeah, for sure. So you were in Washington last week?
Yep.
And that's
Last
certainly
week.
not your first time being there.
Yeah.
What are y'all doing in DC?
We are very specifically now currently in support of the No Fakes Act, which is a bill that is working its way through that would make voice, image, name, and likeness an intellectual property right.
Mm-hmm.
We started just by going to DC to just say, hey, we are voice actors and we have some concerns about the way the world's going, and we'd like to talk to some people. And at that point, there were I think 3 bills that were
the No AI Frauds.
Yeah, No AI Frauds Act, the No Fakes Act, and
something that died immediately.
And so we were there kind of in general support of all these bills that are happening. Let's make sure that we actually can think of voice as something very specific in addition to this, because a lot of we've heard nil for a while, name, image, likeness, and it's kind of implied that likeness includes voice, but without it being explicitly stated, there could be some gray area around it. So our discussion was to make sure that now everything is vinyl, VINL. So voice, image, name, likeness.
Vinyl is so much better than nil.
Vinyl is, yeah, exactly. Yep.
There's some really great T-shirts I can see out of this.
Yeah.
It feels like some shop talk here about like inside baseball of what is how this protects us as voice actors, but this is really something that protects the common person. Like
Protects everybody.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
how so? Yeah.
I mean, anybody with more than 3 seconds of audio online is vulnerable to AI cloning. And so, yeah, we care very much as voice actors because our livelihood is on the line, and But we kind of just feel like the canaries in the coal mine. Like I said, anybody with a YouTube video or a Facebook video, if you still use Facebook, hi grandma. Anybody with any audio online is susceptible to cloning, and so that opens up a whole host of concerns, especially when you're dealing with security, you're dealing with your banking information being able to be accessed with your voice. We've seen a huge influx of like telephone scams, people calling and cloning your grandchild or your daughter, and it's claiming that they've been kidnapped and please send me $5,000. Like, so anyone is susceptible to that. So just making these wonderful people on Capitol Hill aware of the fact that we are concerned as voice actors, but it affects all Americans, and it's not about taking any type of innovation away from the tech world. It's about enshrining the rights of every American and making sure that Americans have the rights that we deserve to protect our voice, image, name, and likeness, our vitals.
Yes, love it. So, is this, we're a nonpartisan organization. Is this an initiative that is supported by one party, or is it?
It's very, very bipartisan. There are the co-sponsors are two Republicans and two Democrats, and it has our discussion around this. Rights are a nonpartisan discussion, and whether we own our voice, image, name, and likeness, which we will keep repeating all day because it is important to say voice, image, name, and likeness. Is something that everybody can support.
Yeah.
Some support it for different reasons, some support it in different ways, but this general concept that we should own ourselves and that a tech company shouldn't have the right to own us, or it should not be incumbent upon us to say, no, you cannot use my voice for something. They should have to ask us, and we should have an opt-in to say, yes, you can use my voice, as opposed to, by the way, we have your voice because you didn't say that.
Right, absolutely.
And we're talking about American businesses. Like each voice actor, each creative is an American business. And if you are pro-entrepreneurship, pro-business, then you're also pro-creative. And we shouldn't have wealth concentration, where you can steal the art of a few artists, or a lot of artists. I mean, it's over a $3.5 billion industry in the creative field. And so to have that shrunk into the few tech companies that will enrich themselves but make everyone else broke, that doesn't speak of American innovation, honestly.
Absolutely. So, how can our audience support this, get involved?
The very basics, and this sounds like I'm going to say it, and then I'm going to give a reasoning for it. Is call your representatives. Just call and write and send a letter. And it seems like it's a obvious.
Representatives and congressmen, and senators,
Senate and Congress, and all representatives. And I will say, as somebody who my first vote was in '92, so I got to vote in when I turned 18, and kind of you hear this consistent. Well, just call a representative, call it and something, and you're like, oh, nobody pays attention. Like they don't really care. They do.
Yeah.
They do. And the first meeting we ever had in DC, when we went in, we realized that in every office we went to, there was a person on the phone who was talking to constituents in each representative's area. And they listened, they talked, they discussed, they weren't blowing people off. And it honestly blew my mind because it was, you think that it's just a giant echo chamber and you put out something into the government and it gets lost in it. Then who knows what happens. But people were paying attention. So that's what we can do. Support the No Fakes Act specifically. In a general, call out anything that you see that's AI generated. Make sure that people are aware, especially older family members who aren't able to spot something that is AI generated.
Totally.
To make sure that we are fact checking images and audio and video and posters and historical misrepresentations of what happened through history, because it is very hard to tell what is AI generated for people who know what to look for. It's almost impossible for people who have no idea what to look for.
And amplifying the voices of the creatives who care. So any messaging from us at NAVA Voices on all social media platforms. There is the creative, our advocacy group.
The DCC.
That's what they.
There's a couple different groups that we're a part of.
Yeah,
There is the Concept Art Association.
That's what it is.
Yes, Concept Art Association, which is a bunch of visual artists. They're looking at the Writers Guild and the Directors Guild and SAG-AFTRA and any of these groups that are advocating either from a union standpoint or from a creator standpoint. All of those people are aware of what to look for and how to spot some of these things. But support their messaging. Look at what they're advocating for and learn about what they're talking about and why that's important.
And if you're artists, read your contracts to make sure that's not being snuck into. There's a host of different powers that be will try to sneak AI language into your contracts to make you susceptible to unauthorized cloning of your voice or your work. So just always read your contracts. And if you need support, there's also the NAVA AI writer, which some of us have used recently, to make sure that your contracts are essentially AI proof, and it basically states that the files generated in your creative collaboration won't be used to make or train AI, and that's available on NavaVoices.org.
Amazing. Speaking of NavaVoices.org, there's a few other initiatives that have been on there. Matthew, you've spearheaded a bunch of them. Can you tell us about some of the guide pages?
Yeah, we have, along with QueerVox and Voices of Color and the Disabled Voice Actors Database, we created a comprehensive and compassionate compendium called
I love alliteration.
Called the Best Practices for Authentic Casting. And this just ensures that everyone who is represented in art is represented accurately. And the power of art is to allow people to see their stories, to dream and make possible what was once fantasy. And you want to see your community represented with honor and integrity. And so we collaborated and came up with, like I mentioned, a best practices that will advise creatives and professionals about how to make sure each community is represented truthfully in a way that empowers them and results in a more collaborative storytelling. Because when you have misrepresentation and you have certain communities doing stereotypical performances of other communities, there's no exchange of truth. And you miss out on the opportunity to learn about another culture because it's been just copy and pasted from a stereotype. And that's not what real storytelling is about. That's not what real art is about. It's about having a means and a window into another culture so that you can enrich in your own life. And so when you do away with authenticity, you do away with effective storytelling. And I'm very proud to be spearheading that along with you.
Absolutely. Same. And not to double back to where we were,
Yeah, please.
but regarding authentic storytelling and AI, I mean, I love how you talk about the disenfranchisement of underrepresented populations through AI. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it targets more communities more than others. The numbers fluctuate about how many people have been displaced from AI, so I can't speak with certainty which number is which, but I will say that it's already, at least from my community, African Americans are only approximately 11% of the voice acting industry. So we already have limited access to the opportunities. But then to further engage with a robot of color, which has been trained on stereotypes, to then further take away and reduce that 11%, it's just disenfranchisement, and it's disenfranchisement. And so you see that in the voiceover world, but you also see it on the visual side with Midjourney and other visual AI replication tools. If you type in what a black person looks like, you get a stereotype. If you type in what a trans person looks like, you often mention that they pop up with like purple hair. And not all trans people have purple hair. It's just, it runs the risk of running afoul of authenticity because these models are often trained on just garbage. And it's trained on what's on the internet. And we all know the internet is 100% factual at all times. But when AI is baking in this bias as truth, the input is flawed and so the output is flawed. And we can't just live in a world where the output is cemented as gospel without taking a further deeper look inside the foundational models. And especially with certain bills coming through that targets certain AI systems to make sure that they are not leaning politically one way or another. That's even more reason for every person to ask to see for transparency and foundational models.
Yeah. I mean, especially when we have over a century of images, movies, entertainment that has been based on stereotypes of all different communities.
100%.
There's only a limited window of authenticity that AI is actually using. Everything else is just, yeah.
Well, and in addition to that, you have those who are fact-checking the biases and information that is being used to train these systems. Are not experts in those facts.
Right.
Biases
Either. It's not a whole room of anthropologists.
Right.
Not at all.
Right.
Now we'll give just a little example of this, and it's damaging for the marginalized communities already, and they're now starting to do that on a larger scale for those that are less marginalized. They're trying to build in biases for these, and I had a very specific discussion with a data scientist about this, and I asked very specifically. I used a New York accent as an example of like, how does the AI system know what an authentic New York accent is? And the scientist, his exact words were, well, we tell it what it is. Very broad scale. Now think about how you get down to these more marginalized people you don't bring those experts to say, this is what this should sound like. This is actually what an authentic, this accent sounds like, or this sounds like. People are determining, based on probably what they saw on TV, as a stereotype.
Yeah, it's just eating itself, and it's a echo chamber of just supposition and stereotypes, and it further reduces the opportunities that marginalized communities have. And I know we're going on it seems like an anti-AI rant. We're not anti-AI, we're just pro-creative. And I think there's a win-win here where you can engage with the artistic communities, you can engage with people to make sure that the AI systems are accurately representing what their culture is, whatever that culture is. It shouldn't be left in the hands of a few tech bros behind closed doors with a few politicians rolling out the red carpet to make these systems just have unfettered access to replication and databases. We need to make sure that as we move forward and we pave this road of innovation, that we are also paving the road and building guardrails at the same time. Like, it's possible. We don't have to wait till 1,000 cars go over the side of the cliff before we build guardrails. Like, it's important that we, right now in this moment, make sure that everyone's advocating for their community and every community at large to have authentic representation in the AI database.
Yeah, because there's harm on so many levels that can happen with AI, from representation to just environmental. I mean, we hear all the time about that, and a careful hand will be able to find more economical and ecologically preservative ways to handle it.
Especially in the medical field. Like, medical AI, there's already so much baked in bias, at least when it comes to African American history. Like, the father of OBGYN had a lot of misinformation about black women in his texts. Those texts have been widely accepted for over a century as the foundation of OBGYN science. And if you have that misrepresentation about the black women's pain levels baked into a medical AI that is going to be replacing a nurse, the implications are wild. And so as we interface with AI and we integrate it into all of our different facets of life, where it's legal, creative, medical, we just have to take a step back and make sure that the foundation is authentic and transparent, so that we can actually make sure everyone has the fair shot to be represented and also protected by AI.
Yeah, absolutely. How's the chat going?
Pretty good. Everyone's listening.
No.
Chat going
They
crazy.
haven't had many questions. We can ask our chat though.
W's in the chat.
Yeah, any questions that you might have, feel free. We've got some wonderful experts here that can answer all your questions about AI or just voiceover as an industry in general. Yeah. Anything else that NAVA has cooking in the pipeline that's coming up? You guys, yeah.
8412.
We have our kind of our big end of the year gala coming up in December, which is going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully raise some funds for us to keep doing what we're doing.
Right.
This is not a cheap endeavor, as we have quickly learned. But then one of the things we're looking at for those in California. There is a bill, AB 412, which we've been working on, which is a AI transparency bill, with Assemblywoman Bauer Kahan, who is leading that. And there's going to be some hearings coming up at some point between October and the break in December, where we're actually going to get a chance to go in person and speak in support of this bill in Sacramento. So if anybody's in California, keep an eye out for this on the NAVA socials. We'll be talking about going up there. It's AB 412. We have our healthcare. We have just switched over to new healthcare plans, and starting October 1st, for any NAVA members, we'll have access to our new healthcare plans, which are so good that I'm on it.
Yeah, me too.
Does it say Vault? Yeah, I have it.
No, we have the new one.
Oh, even newer one.
Yeah.
Yes, so
Okay,
you need to switch.
Well, last year
Yes.
in October, I got health insurance thanks to you guys. So I appreciate
Awesome.
it.
Okay.
Thanks, Nava.
All right.
Legal blue art.
And we will, for those NAVA members, starting October 1st, all NAVA members will get access to free legal contract reviews by our lawyer.
Oh, wow.
So if you have contracts that you would like to have reviewed, Right now, NAVA's been offsetting the cost of it, and then now we're going to offset more of the cost and have so for three free contract reviews per year per member. So if you would like to join NAVA and
That's
get access
crazy.
to that, yeah.
That's
I know, right?
insane.
A lot of times, a lot of times with some of these contracts, especially again in the non-union world where you don't have a SAG-AFTRA contract that you can look at and say, yes, I know this has been looked at by a lawyer already.
Mhm.
A lot of times what you'll have is a company that is putting together the most advantageous contract for the company and not so advantageous for the actor or the artist on the other side.
Right.
And one of the things that we really advocate for is this idea that we as artists, anybody who's on the other side of a contract is 50% of that contract. You have an equal right to say, I don't agree to these terms of this contract as the person hiring you does, or who's running that contract, because what you're signing is going to determine what happens with your audio and your career, and potentially now your voice, image, name, and likeness going forward. So it's just a matter of having, looking at a contract and it's just as simple as, yes, this is going to be a good contract, or it's not, and here are some concerns we would have. And then you can at least go back and with an educated basis of information to the client and say, I'm sorry, I would like to redline this. And I don't know, people that we've worked with, I don't know that anybody that I've worked directly with has lost a job because of that. The other person has said, okay, that sounds reasonable, let's make these changes, or I'm sorry, it doesn't seem reasonable, and here's why I can't make those changes, and then they can have a further discussion on that. But I have not seen the people that I've, not to say that hasn't happened, but those that I've worked firsthand directly with and in these talks, when they've gone back, nobody has received an answer that says, I'm sorry, we can't change it, we were not going to hire you for this job. So feel empowered to say, stand up for yourself as an artist, and in an industry right now, in an age where not standing up for yourself could be the end of your career, or could be, the first job you do could be your last job, your next job could be your last job.
Right.
If you don't protect your brand, your voice, your small business, that we all are.
And if you need contracts because you're not working under a SAG contract, or if the employer hasn't offered you one, we also offer scope of agreements contracts.
Scope of work contracts.
Yeah, scope of work
Yeah,
contracts
yeah.
for the non-union world. That's available on NavaVoices.org as well. So even if you're navigating the world of pay-to-play sites or independent contractors or indie game developers, whatever it is, if they are not offering you a contract, you're not doing business. So I always recommend someone, even if you're on pay-to-play sites, download the NAVA scope of work agreements and use those as your contracts. They're customizable, so you can always update it with every details that you need to add or omit. And then you also work in conjunction with the NAVA AI writer, and that should offer you some modicum of protection as you are navigating the non-union world as well.
And I'm going to go one step further and say, even if you're not being paid, you should have a contract.
Absolutely.
So a lot of people think that it's just a free thing or something that you can do for a friend, or they're going to do for, an online casting platform or something, or a fan dub or whatever. Make sure that you have some kind of agreement in place.
Yeah.
And
Limitations on usage.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yep.
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 Awesome. Everybody, you are here with NerdsVote, Stream the Vote. We have Matthew Parham and Tim Friedlander from NAVA, National Association of Voice Actors. If you've got any questions, please throw them in the chat. So we are nerds who vote.
We do have a question
Ooh.
from Dennis Vaultboy 189.
Yes, all right.
What do you think about the video game community that creates unique mods to make games more interesting? Like, how does that tie into, AI or using people's performances?
Yeah, that is a great question. This is something that the industry is trying to navigate. Even the video game industry itself, there are some video game companies that provide these assets freely available for anybody to use. And there is a difference that we're trying to parse out between taking an audio file that somebody recorded, modding it, rearranging it to make them take those words and say something different. It's completely different when you extract from that performance somebody's biometric data and a voice print and create a wholly new performance from that. So there's no really well-defined line about what you should and shouldn't do, but what I would say is that if you are it's a difference between taking a video game asset of an animated character, of a video game character that a video game company has provided you, and changing it around to put it in new scenarios is different from taking somebody's voice print, which is their biometric data and identifiable information, and putting that into a generative AI that can then create a wholly new performance.
Right.
it might be parsing details, and some people may not see much of a difference in there. But we definitely feel there's a difference, and especially when you get into many voice actors in video games whose voices do not sound different from them in real life. Every character that I do in a video game sounds like me.
Sure.
So if you were to clone one of my video game characters, it's basically going to be me saying something. And that gets to be dangerous if what my character ends up saying can be misinterpreted as me having said that personally. And if potentially it said something that could be offensive to my family, somebody who has kids, they don't want their kids to say that, or to hear them saying that. And one thing to think about is that we as human voice actors have the ability to walk out of a room if we're given a script that we don't agree to the content of, or is different than what we were told was going to be there. We have that ability to walk out. Our AI voice cannot walk out of this.
Right.
Now, all of that to say, this also has to be balanced with the First Amendment rights of ability of satire and parody, and those things that are there. So for those who are going to exercise your First Amendment right and that ability to satire and parody, think about the difference that now happens with an AI voice, that you now, not only is there free speech, but now you could potentially be infringing on compelled speech and forcing somebody to say something they never said. So I should have the right to say something. First Amendment right gives me the right to say things that I want to say, not without consequences, but I have the freedom of speech. But I also should never be forced to say something that I would never say. Should not be compelled to say something. So as we get into these mods, there is a fine line between a fan mod and a compelled speech that once something's put into a generative AI system.
And also, I would add to that there's a difference between what's ethical and what's legal. Legally, you can do it, maybe, for now. But ethically, should you? Because, like you're saying, like you're extracting someone's biometric data out of that performance, now compelling them to say things that otherwise would not say. And that's, in my opinion, is ethically wrong. Now, it's different if the game company is giving you certain things to build your mod with, that's different.
Yeah.
But if you're just scraping wantonly from this game and putting it in a generative AI system, to me, I don't think that's ethical. But then, you're also, there are going to be laws that come out one way or another for this, and we're fighting for what we feel is right. That may not be legal at some point. And these bills won't be retroactive, but still I would not want to have been in a position where I have done something that may be illegal in the future. And then you also just don't have provenance control. You don't know what that company that you put that voice actor's voice into their database, you don't know what's going to happen with that voice file now. So when that company folds and sells that asset, that was all because you put it in their system. And so like the provenance of that can lead to further damage outside of just the simple enjoyment of this one mod. And so it can snowball into something that's bigger than you even think about when you're just doing something that's for fun.
For sure. And I think there's an aspect of, this is coming from somebody who's made his career doing sound-alike voiceover.
Sure.
I do think that there's it's one of the reasons I love the fan dub community, because I love the idea of people kind of doing homebrew versions of their own thing and finding their own interp of something rather than feeling the need to like scrape audio from perhaps even somebody who's deceased to keep this a character going into longevity. Like, there's like Mickey Mouse has been voiced by 8 different people, I think, at this point, and everybody has their own little nuance, and that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it interesting. It's to see what each person brings to the general sense of a character, and I think, yes, the people that are doing mods want that sort of like one-to-one authenticity where it feels like this is a seamless part of Breath of the Wild, but there is that aspect of like, well, let's feel your stamp on it. Let's feel like, what you could also bring to the character as well as the gameplay.
Which also provides an on-ramp for beginning voice acters.
Yeah,
to
totally.
Get better. That's
Help your friends out.
Yeah, that's how they cut their teeth. They become better voice actors and the big stars of tomorrow. You have to start somewhere, and so like to eliminate that on-ramp of jobs by using AI, it kind of like can basically take the knees out of the industry.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
hopefully that helped, Dennis.
Yes.
Great answers. That's what I was okay.
All right.
Any more questions? We got one in the chat.
Is it lunchtime?
Nothing in the chat yet.
Awesome.
All right. Since we are nerds who vote,
Yes.
couple questions.
Yep.
What are you nerdy about, for starters?
In general?
Yeah.
Just in general?
Yeah.
You guitars.
What is something that you're what are you obsessed with right now?
Oh, I can go.
Go for it.
Yeah,
You go for it.
Anime.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
obsessed
go.
with Demon Slayer right now.
Oh
Yeah,
God, all day
100%.
long.
Yeah, they just
all
had the movie.
day
I
long.
went to see. I saw the movie already. I love
Nice.
all 3 hours of it. It was phenomenal. I love Demon Slayer, and I'm obsessed with One Piece right now. I've taken the One Piece journey after being a hater for 15 years.
The original or live action or both? All of it? Everything?
So I'm gonna be real. Don't take my nerd card from me, but I didn't watch One Piece until the live action came out.
Sure.
I refused to do it. I was like, "This is stupid. It's 1,000 episodes." I was wrong. I apologize. I watched the live action.
This is your public apology.
Yeah, Luffy, I
Yeah.
apologize. You were the king of the pirates for a reason. So then went back and started the whole anime, and I caught up in 3 years. So
It does take that long.
I-
Yeah.
I-
Incredible.
yeah. So yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So that's my nerd. That's my nerd.
Mhm.
And Far Cry 5. I'm obsessed with that game for some reason.
Nice. I don't know if I have an answer for you, man. What am I obsessed with?
You were obsessed with guitars, dark beer.
Dark beer. Let's go with dark beer.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your dark beer?
I found out a dark beer. I've been having a hard time finding a good. You can't find a good stout in Los Angeles.
Oh, shots fired.
You cannot find a
Chat
good
prove us
stout in
wrong.
Los Angeles. Or if you walk in, it's like, "Here, do you have a stout?" No, we have Guinness. I'm like, Guinness is Guinness. I'll have a Guinness any day of the week.
Sure.
But I'm not going for a Guinness because he's heard this rant many times.
So this is a nationwide program.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we're oh my God!
Cissy.
Cissy Jones. What's up, man? Come
Hey,
on.
Over here. Am I
Get on the
supposed to- Yeah.
Join the
Come
fray,
on.
gentlemen.
Right in the middle.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Maybe we'll zoom out.
Here we go.
Let me do a thing. What was that?
Yeah, perfect,
That
perfect.
wasn't high tech
Yes.
at all.
Everybody, please welcome to the couch, Cissy Jones.
Yay!
I brought something for your husband.
Oh.
The only one.
Oh. Okay. I don't want.
You're like,
He's not watching. He's just like, oh my God.
oh,
Oh
perfect.
my God.
That's
this is
gorgeous.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So Tim was just answering a very important question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nationwide, place that you've been to that has had very good.
Boundary Bay Brewery in Bellingham, Washington.
Again, alliteration. Like,
Yep. And I believe they just went out of business. They've been around for 30 years and they just shut down. It was where I actually played there on New Year's Eve 1999. Got to play 1999 by Prince on 1999 at Boundary Bay Brewery. But they have a stout there that is just amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
May she rest.
Yep.
Cissy, we were just asking everybody, we are nerds who vote. What are you nerdy about right now? What are you obsessed with?
God, all the things. What am I nerdy about? I don't know. Democracy?
No, maybe
I
a
was gonna say
TV,
change,
TV
but
show, a
yes.
song, an artist, something that you just
I
like.
mean, K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yes! Everybody's obsessed.
No, I'm not gonna say it's been on repeat for the last 2 months, but it's been on repeat for the last 2 months.
I've seen it so many times with my nieces.
I got kids, man, and they're like, cool, but I don't know the entire thing by heart yet. Can we watch it again? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is how I learned my lines.
yeah, it's been real good.
It's overrated.
Okay, next question is.
Did you say it's overrated?
Fight me.
Friendship
Oh.
over.
I thought you were just saying that you loved it.
So also,
No,
one
Demon Slayer.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's just-
Yeah. But
Oh,
Demon
Keep Up
Hunter,
Demon Hunter.
I
Yeah.
think it's overrated.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
It's cool. It's
Okay.
good. It's good. It's straight.
it's okay.
Is it legendary? Is it One Piece? No.
Is it the
Okay.
most watched anything on Netflix ever?
Okay.
Oh, whatever.
Tune in to our next hour when we have a death match.
He'll be a hater for 3 years again and then change his mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are nerds who vote. So, what is one issue that you are really excited to vote about?
Man, the depression that just sank.
I know.
We said
I
it was
know.
going to be chill and fun. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what happened to chill and fun vibe?
I don't know.
The third question will lift us back up.
Okay. Let's. Oh man, this is.
Oh God.
I'm really excited to vote in the next presidential election.
Okay.
Yeah. same.
Hey, there you
Looking
go.
forward.
I'm looking forward to having another presidential election. Fingers crossed.
Cool.
Valid,
All right.
valid.
Sure.
Um,
Sissy's concurring.
I don't know, are you voting for school board or something? That can be exciting.
Yeah.
Enthralling.
I am excited for AI legislation to get passed.
Yes.
And in order for what I want to vote on, I want to vote to protect the rights of the people we love in any capacity that looks like.
Speaking of which, we have a question in the chat
Oh yeah.
from Brizzy Voices.
Brizzy!
Again, a Brisbane,
who's it?
who will be here later today. Where is legislation at right now as far as physical or voice likeness AI protections?
I will answer that. That's what I was in DC for last week, getting an update on this. So the current bill, the one that is moving and most likely to get into place is the No Fakes Act, which makes voice, image, name, and likeness an intellectual property right. Federal intellectual property right. We are currently in the midst of a government that is probably going to shut down, or very highly likely to shut down very soon, making any legislation getting through this year highly unlikely. And not just AI legislation, but just any legislation in general. With that said, the No Fakes Act has a very, very good chance of getting into the next steps. Right now, it's in a place called markup, and they need 12 votes to get it out of markup and put into a larger committee. They have 11 of the 12 votes they need to make it move to the next committee, and then from there is the hope that it will get into some kind of appropriations bill. Which means that it would be added to another bill, and if that bill goes through, then this bill would be attached to it.
And this is currently in the Senate or the House?
This is currently in the Senate right now. The Senate has the most recent version they released was in April, and they have new language coming out in the next couple of weeks on some updated language, probably very minor language. But one of the things about it is that it's co-sponsored by Marsha Blackburn, who is going to be running for the governor of Tennessee, which means that she is going to be leaving federal government, and this is possibly trying to be her crowning achievement before she leaves. And so
That's a cool sign off.
it's all good things going in the right direction, that if something does have legs, this is going to be probably one of those. Caveat being that if that does happen, nothing will go into place until probably 2027.
Woof.
So in the meantime, as we know,
States.
we need so many state laws which can move faster. We also need contractual language, and we need
Lawsuits.
Outcomes of lawsuits, which will set precedent for things going forward. But AI moves exponentially fast, and so a year from now is 3 or 4 generations of AI technology advancements.
Yeah.
So there you go.
But NAVA's leading the way!
That's the full done. Yep.
And there's hope on the horizon.
There is hope on the horizon.
So since we're back to the AI chat, Cissy, tell the audience what your involvement is with the fight for AI protections.
Yeah, so if you haven't heard my story, because I feel like I've told it a zillion times, I actually found my voice being used without my consent in 2021. And when I reached out to the voice AI platforms that had my voice available and asked them to remove it, they said no, they didn't have to. So I got involved with NAVA. We got into this whole legislative fight, which has been amazing, and also I started my own AI company to work directly with actors, with their agents, with the union, to give people full consent control and compensation over having digital replicas. And so that is what I have been pouring all of my waking hours into, and goodbye sleep.
Understandable.
Amazing. So you're the CEO of this company.
Yes.
What makes this company different in providing AI services than others?
So because we work directly with the actors, we work with people who have professional broadcast quality studios. So number one, our quality is just better. We also have a mastering process to remove any mouth clicks and nose farts and those terrible sounds that we make when we speak that we don't want to
I have dysphonia, so mouth noise just makes me want to take a hatchet.
Yeah.
What about nose farts?
Oh god.
Yeah, all of it.
They're everywhere.
All of it. Chewing.
As I'm chewing right now.
So we have really high quality replicas in the first place. We also work within the agent ecosystem. We're not trying to replace agents. We're not trying to replace casting directors. We want to fit into the existing ecosystem because we think that it's good. We are not a B2C, so we don't have a consumer platform. We are a B2B platform, meaning that you can't come to my website and access any voice that's there. If you are a B, you will have access to only the voices that you have.
business.
Oh.
Business to consumer
Sorry.
or business to business.
Yes.
Pitch to
Sorry.
pitch.
We get it, you're
Yes.
in it.
UAB.
Mhm.
You will only have access to the voices you've contracted with, so it's not an open forum for anybody to use whose ever voice. And most importantly, I think, is that the actor gets to consent to how their voice is used. So if you, JP, you lucky dog, are now the voice of Honda nationally, lucky, Toyota cannot come and use your voice without your consent. You would get to say yes or no, so that you, the human, do not get into contractual hot water by doing jobs that you are excluded from doing.
Amazing. I love that. Cissy, you bring up a great point about how this all started for you and finding your voice being used against your will. Question for anybody on the panel, like if anybody, whether voice actor or just regular citizen, finds that their voice is being used inappropriately, what can they do about it?
Cry.
Well, that's step one.
Yeah.
Step one is weep.
And I'll give you some tangible things to
Yes.
do.
Right, it's tangible.
It is very
It's
tangible.
tangible.
It's very tangible. First thing to do is reach out to the company. That's the first thing you can do. You can reach out directly, and then reach out to NAVA, and we can help with that process in some capacity. One of the things that we have done, and I mentioned this earlier, was kind of legislation, cooperation, education. And cooperation is one of those things that we've really tried to do. Is we've tried to have some open dialogue with a lot of these AI companies that are using the voices.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on what platform it is, it's a possibility that it's a company that we already have an open line of communication with, and we could possibly help with that. Then your next step would be to figure out what state you live in. So you know what.
Hope you know.
Yeah, you
So-
don't know that. That's,
So, or that we know what state you live in, so that we can help you with the laws. Because depending on what state you live in, you will have different protections over your voice, image, name, and likeness. If you are in California, New York, Illinois, Texas, Tennessee, and Washington, you have fairly strong protections. If you are in other states, you don't have as strong protections. So, and
Call your representative.
call your representative, but also now not even where you live, where you happen to have done the work. So if you happen to be traveling and you did the job because you were on vacation in Idaho, and you did a job in Idaho, I go to Idaho every once in a while. We're both from Idaho.
Yeah.
Just right
We are.
Boise is very good food.
But yeah,
I've never heard that phrase in my life.
Neither have I.
Doesn't it?
I have a friend who's a foodie that lives in Boise, and her Instagram is popping.
Wow.
Get that
What
information.
a strange world we live in.
because you live in California, if you did the work in Idaho, you are now governed by Idaho laws because that's where the work was done. So if that voice was taken from a job you did while you were in Idaho, you would have different protections than if that job was done while you were in California.
That's bonkers.
So hence the federal legislation, because all of these not
Always
only
United States.
yeah. So imagine what we think about as we're just a single voice actor. Well, all these different AI companies have to navigate the world, the state of what state is this talent in? What laws do they have? What contract we have to write for this person because they're in that state? It's even gotten to the point now where a lot of casting goes out that says we cannot hire you for this job if you live in Illinois or Tennessee. I think are the two.
In Texas.
Sometimes Texas. Sometimes Texas and Illinois.
Yeah.
Texas and Illinois, sometimes Tennessee and Washington, sometimes Oregon will pop up depending on what it is, because the companies are saying we can't, because of the biometric protections that Texas, of all places, has strong protections for the residents of Texas. That an AI company will not hire a voice actor who lives in Texas. So let's take that back the other direction and look at how much of a disadvantage an actor who now lives in Texas is. Because we live in Texas and you want to have access to working with an AI company, now you can't. Because the AI companies cannot hire you because you live in Texas. So it goes both directions. It's protections for you, absolutely. But if you wanted to be a person who wanted to step into the AI industry and have your voice, so you can't actually hire somebody who lives in Texas.
Okay.
They're bamboozling you
And
with fine
what if you
lines.
did have a great talent that you wanted who lived in Texas that you wanted to work with? So you'd have to figure out where, because of Texas law, what you can and can't do with that. And that is just from a business standpoint, a tech standpoint. How do you navigate different laws for every single state, and
It's almost like a federal law.
It's almost like a federal law would
Yeah,
would
almost like
really
federal
would.
law.
So wait, the patchwork
We're
isn't
onto
working?
something
The
here.
patchwork's not
Patchwork's
working.
not working.
So we've talked about for the
Yes,
for
yes.
the No Face Act that people should call their senators and also eventually their Congress people
Yep.
about the No Fakes Act. But if they live in a state where they don't have the protections that we're talking about, who should they call?
Everybody.
Ghostbusters.
Yes.
Yes.
And who are the Ghostbusters
It's NAVA.
for them? So like state senators, state representatives.
State senators, state representatives, yeah. You know, in California, the Assemblywoman is working on this. Weiner is the one who has done a lot of, Scott Weiner, I believe, has been putting a lot of like AI regulation bills in place. And I would say, you know, I tend to look at this more as less about regulation. We mentioned this very early on in the discussion. Less about regulation and more about rights.
Mhm.
And that we should have the right to our biometric data and our voices. And if that happens to mean that the AI companies have to put regulations in place, or all companies have to put regulations in place about how to handle biometric data, then that's something that needs to happen. But it's not about regulating this tech. It's about protecting the rights of Americans that we currently don't have protected.
And the rights to know, which is where
And-
labeling
yes.
comes into effect. Like, I should know as a consumer, I should have the right to know if I'm ingesting AI-generated content against my will.
Yeah, I get hives as soon as I see AI.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I'm like, "Bleh."
The sweats. Yeah.
I do have another
We have
question.
another
from
question.
Chat.
Great.
Brizzy Voices again.
Brizzy, awesome.
Is there a fear that even ethical consenting to AI replication can lead to a larger job gap than already exists? And with A-listers agreeing to AI replication instead of a voice match actor, for instance.
Yeah, there is. I
Yeah,
mean, listen,
absolutely.
I,
Yeah.
I think the way that I see this, honestly, is a lot like when the internet kind of kicked in the door for casting and allowing people to live like anywhere in the country and submit MP3s and stuff like that. It's going to create a new paradigm in the industry. It's not going to be comfortable. Parts of it are not going to be pretty, but also we have to realize that this technology is not going to move backwards. You cannot stuff the genie back into the bottle. It is here. It is getting better incrementally, like Tim said. So we have to find a way to work with it because here's a fun thing that, again, you may not know about me. I worked in the Silicon Valley for 10 years before I became an actor. When I worked in the Silicon Valley, I worked at a venture capital firm. These are the people that put money into the startups that become Google and Yahoo and PayPal, right? When I was there, they got a pitch from Napster. And my boss passed on it. And I was talking with my boss afterwards, and I was like, Napster is the word on everybody's mouth. Like, why are you passing? And he said, after they destroy the music industry, the lawsuits alone will eat them alive. So, we are at a crossroads. Do we let the voiceover industry go the way of the music industry, which was pretty summarily upended with Napster and file sharing and stuff like that? Or do we take a stand and say, okay, look, we get it. It's here. How do we be a part of it? We get to define the parameters for how we want to have it used, right? Do I wish that it wasn't a thing? I sure do. But, wishful thinking isn't going to help anybody.
There's also more opportunity for jobs that just a human can't do. And there's hyper-localization and personalization that's possible now. So we all have smartphones in our pocket. Like, everyone can have a different voice that's not just Siri, which was stolen. But anyway, that's a different subject. But there's now personalization possible at a level that wasn't possible before. I couldn't walk around and voice every app on your phone. But now you can if you license my voice responsibly and ethically. And so it's created another avenue for voice actors actually to get passive income. So there's definitely displacement. There's always been displacement, whether it was online casting popping up or whatever. But now there's also potential. And so it's just trying to make sure that the displacement is minimized and the potential is maximized.
And this was something that we, just to kind of bring this back around a little bit, this is something that we had when NAVA was first formed. We had this discussion about how do we approach this.
Yeah.
Do we just say, absolutely no AI, our stance is going to be just shut it down, there should be no AI voices at all, or do we figure out a way to work with these companies? And when our approach was very much this shouldn't be here. There should be no AI voices. until you realize that all these companies are coming up, they don't care. They're not coming to us for these voices. They're gonna work around it.
Yeah.
They're gonna work around the industry because they don't need to work with voice. They don't need to interact with this industry to get the voices they want. So if we could say no, and they'll go, great, well that's fine. We'll just won't use you.
Right.
And the technology is still going to grow. It's still going to advance. It's still going to take work. So then can we do this in a way that says, okay, you guys have already done this. You as tech companies have already done this. This is voice actors. This is how we think it should be done on our side so that we can at least protect as much of this industry as possible.
Yes.
And that has been our approach. Again, I say, education, cooperation, legislation. That cooperation has been trying to work with, you educate the voice actors, you cooperate and educate the tech companies, and then you get legislation in place for all of that. And that gives some kind of what we think is some kind of comprehensive part of this industry. But we really want the ability to have control so that you can say no. So that you can say, no, I do not want my voice to be cloned. I do not want to be a part of the system. I do not want to have my voice sold.
I do not like green eggs and ham.
Do not, exactly. Yes, yes.
But I also for the record, I am someone who has done a ton of sound-alike in the past, and that has gone for me. I mean,
Yeah.
I was Charlize Theron sound-alike for 8 years, and poof, it's gone, right? So
Yeah.
it's affecting everybody, and it will continue to affect us all. We have to redefine what the parameters are and how we exist with this technology as it continues to improve.
And it's affecting every industry. I mean, there is job loss in every single industry, and depending on what numbers you look at, they're saying, global job loss of 50% of the jobs on the planet are going to go away. That's insane.
It's bonkers.
It's insane. And what are we all going to do? And all that
Universal
stuff.
basic income.
Universal basic income. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. Who's paying UBI? I don't know.
Another thing you can maybe vote for one day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway,
And
so
enshrining women's rights. The right to choose should be enshrined as well. I'm looking forward to voting for that.
Yay!
Thank you for getting back to
Yeah, I did that. Brought it right back.
All right. Well, we're about to wrap up. Just so everybody knows where they can find out more about you, more about your work, we're just going to go down the line. Tell us how people can reach you or find out more about where you're at.
TimFriedlander.com. Friedlander like Friedlander, TimFriedlander.com. And NAVAvoices.org.
Awesome.
I'm Cissy Speaks on Instagram when I'm posting, or you can check out ethovox.ai is my AI company.
I mostly live on Instagram at SlimDaReason, SlimDaReazon. My voiceover lives on MatthewParhamVO.com. My photography lives on AfroGrunge.com. And check out NavaVoices.org as well. I live there too.
Yay!
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Nerds Vote Stream the Vote continues shortly. We're going to take a short break, and we will be right back.
Yay! Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for letting me.